Hang on. These guys behind me are desperate to do this. Go!
Stop! Throw it in! Have a little scrimmage! Keep it low! Splendid rush! Bravo! Win or die! On the ball, City! Never mind the danger. City on! Now's your chance! Oh, score! City!
There we go, well done boys. Thank goodness for that. Norwich didn't win the derby actually, it finished 1-1, but I think as I sat there in the press box, Ipswich having taken a lead in the 89th minute through Luke Chambers from a Martin Waghorn corner to go 1-0 up. Well, that was it, wasn't it? As far as I was concerned, that was it. It was time to digest the fact that the run was over. Norwich's 9 unbeaten derbies was done with, and everyone could move on, and maybe it'd be like a load off the shoulders. And even in that situation, Ipswich could not see themselves over the line and take 3 points in an East Anglian derby. I think my Twitter reaction at the Norwich equalising in the 95th minute, which was the final minute of added time, was kind of to laugh in letters because how Ipswich have thrown that away, you could see on the expressions of everyone from Mick McCarthy to all of the Ipswich Town fans who are still here. It was just a stunned, painful expression. As it so happens, a 1-1 draw was probably a fair result because ultimately Norwich were very poor in the first half, and Ipswich actually managed the game very well. They matched Norwich up a treat, went to 3 at the back, and that played into it made life so difficult for Norwich. They couldn't really keep the ball, they kept giving it away, they were being pressed really high and kept losing the ball in really awkward positions too, that was just putting them under so much pressure. So life was really difficult for Norwich in the first half. They invited it on themselves to a degree and didn't really adapt to it at all. That said, Ipswich didn't have a whole load of chances in that first half either. Second half, Norwich moved the ball. They were closer together. They moved the ball sharper between themselves in smaller spaces and started working the ball through the lines rather than being forced to go long more often than they like to, and that made a big difference. And Norwich did create 1 or 2 chances in that second half. A couple of saves from James Maddison, free kicks. Nothing really clear cut, but Białkowski made some pretty good saves from those free kicks, and Nelson Oliveira had a low shot turned away as well. But so Norwich really dominated the second half, and at that point you're thinking a half each, yeah, it's probably going to finish goalless unless someone can nick it. And the first goal always felt like it would kind of be crucial, which is, again, leaves you just bemused as to how Ipswich have not finally ended this 9-year, 10-game now East Anglian derby hoodoo. And so it said, until Jamal Lewis gave away a needless free kick late on, and although the free kick came to nothing, the following corner saw Luke Chambers head home. It was a lovely delivery. I haven't had a chance to watch it again, so I can't tell. I think it was Alex Tetty he beat on the run, but I can't tell. A lot of people, I'm sure, will look to blame zonal marking, but it will be an individual error somewhere along the line that has let Chambers in, or his run wasn't blocked off. But it was a very good header, and the whole blue corner of Carrow Road really lit up at that point, and they must have thought this is it finally, and the game plan had sat perfectly, because although they were much second best in the second half, and actually Mick McCarthy got a lot of stick for his substitutions, which were all kind of viewed as negative and defensive, and the Ipswich fans were apoplectic about that, to be honest, and booed the third change. Hence why when the goal went in, Luke Chambers' header went in, Mick McCarthy is seen on a TV replay giving it the big one, basically, verbally to the Ipswich fans. He has denied it's to the Ipswich fans, but he wouldn't have been saying it to anyone else. It was a minute or two after the Ipswich fans had booed his substitution. So it was what it was. Maybe it wasn't entirely malicious, and it was just a reaction at a highly emotive state. But it was caught bang on camera and won't be forgotten. Neither will his expression after the game, or certainly immediately after Timm Klose's equaliser. Timm's celebrations were a marvel, as were the whole area. I mean, I think I've just spoken to Chris Gorham, and someone said to him it's actually better than winning the game, because of, Ipswich are so close, and Norwich kind of were able to rub Ipswich's noses in it. Ipswich are what they are. They've always been decent at that, and they do cause teams issues, and Mick kind of tactically got it right in the first half, but when Norwich raised their level they couldn't really cope with it, and again Ipswich have a pretty clear ceiling on what they can do, and when that ceiling comes into view, they can't do a lot about it, and that's kind of why they spent 16 years in the Championship, really. As for Norwich, it's 2 more points dropped on, when some will be hoping they can really make a top 6 push, and they can't really afford to drop many more points. And of course, they go to Wolves on Wednesday night. So, if Norwich pick up anything from that game, they'll be doing well. But ultimately, it is what it is. We'll see where Norwich are after those. They've got a slightly more favourable run of fixtures, but again, Norwich have kind of struggled in those games at Carrow Road as well. So it's the status quo, I guess, here. Mick McCarthy was in pretty good mood before he went in, and everyone was kind of reflective. I think everyone kind of knows it was probably a fair result, although Daniel Farke was saying that with the chances Norwich had, not all of them clear cut, they probably should have won it, but for the first half they probably didn't deserve to. And there'll be tougher games on the horizon, certainly at Molineux on Wednesday, when John Ruddy and Ryan Bennett await for a reunion. The runaway leaders, the guys I said will win the title at a canter back here in September, October time it was clear then, and it's been clear ever since, really. So a really tough game for Norwich to head into. We'll see what they do after that. Final word, I guess, for Grant Hanley, who was superb. James Maddison, who raised his level in the second half. Grant Hanley's cross for Timm Klose's header in the 5th minute of injury time. I mean, it's probably about as memorable as it gets, doesn't it? Even for a 1-1 draw. And yes, 1-1. People would therefore say it's a derby honours even, but I think we know it wasn't really like that, was it?